What's up, everyone? It's Andres Restart, and this time we're going to be analyzing this story trailer we got at the Video Game Awards. We also got a demo later on in the awards show, but we'll talk about that later. So today we're just going to focus on the story trailer, and we're going to try to analyze the heck out of it. So let's get started. Alright, so here it looks like we have a tapestry, and there's ink, and then we see the Sheikah Eye with the tear that falls down. We've seen that multiple times already in all the Breath of the Wild footage we've seen so far. It's falling down and it crashes, and then we see the ink kind of like splatter all over the place. And honestly, I'm sort of getting like a vibe kind of similar to the whole watercolor painting stuff that we saw in the introduction for Skyward Sword. It's not exactly the same, but it seems very similar. It's depicting some sort of tale, some sort of story, a history of the world. That's the vibe I'm getting here. So we're seeing these trees that don't seem to have many leaves, and then it transitions to the greenery that we've become accustomed to so far for Breath of the Wild. It's beautiful, of course, but it's something we've seen before. However, soon it transitions to autumn. So here it's depicting seasonal changes. So does that mean that actual environments that we see in the game are going to change throughout time? That's very interesting, and if so, it could make the world feel a lot more immersive, and it may even affect gameplay in certain ways. Now here we see these little villagers, again in this little drawing on the tapestry sort of thing. They're working on the land, even a pack mule horse. But here, in this scene, it's interesting because everything else that we see in this scene is things we've seen before in the Breath of the Wild footage, but we have not seen other NPCs. We've only seen the old man and Link. But here, that's definitely not Link or the old man, someone else. So does that mean we're going to see a lot of NPCs just kind of roaming the world? Perhaps we can interact with them, and this could maybe mean a lot of different side quests or different interactions with the overworld? Maybe. And again, we see other guys that are not Link or the old man, and we see, well, that goblin's ass, which is kind of funny. But they are fighting off these little goblins for their lives, and I wonder if Link could come in and help them out and maybe get some sort of treasure, or they'll help them out with knowledge or something like that. But it's interesting to see how there seems to be other characters that live in this world, and it doesn't really seem to be scripted. There could be like some sort of AI here that have some sort of intelligence, and they're just trying to live in this world filled with wilderness and enemies and monsters. Here, it looks like we found, well, we didn't find it, it's in the trailer, but a pit stop here for other travelers in this very scary, dangerous world. It has like a giant horse, his head on the top, and even here we see like a little horse sign on top of the little building. It looks kind of like a bazaar, sort of similar to what we saw in Skyward Sword. So I wonder if you can buy things here or trade and sell the treasures you found in the world. Or maybe it's just like a rest stop for travelers where they can exchange horses and rent out horses and things like that. There's definitely a gathering point for travelers, to say the least, because there are multiple people here that have backpacks on. We see a little dog here, so it probably belongs to the owner. But it's interesting to see how it walks around. It reminds me of the wolf amiibo character we saw in the E3 demo. Now here we see a depiction of a village of some sort, and now we actually get to see confirmation of a real village in Breath of the Wild. Really cool. I love the little houses with the rounded tops, and I love how the entire village seems to be kind of like on a mountainside. It has like a very Chinese culture vibe to me going on here with the trees and the hilltops and little ponds. Very pretty for sure. Now here we see Link, and that is the Master Sword on his back, but pay close attention to the hilt. It is not rusted in any way. So is this the Master Sword restored, or is it before it became destroyed? Like, remember that this Link is a Link from before. He has a history. Could this be a flashback of some sort, or is this later on in the game? Okay, now here we see the bird, something, or it looks like a bird, flying up into the sky, and is that Falco? It probably isn't Falco, but it does look similar, but basically looks similar because he looks like some sort of bird creature. It kind of reminds me of the Rito. Does this mean that the species of the Rito have returned in Breath of the Wild? Could this mean that this game does take place after the Wind Waker, After all, we already know that there are Koroks, and now it looks like this could be the Rito, though he seems to be a lot more acrobatic and antagonistic, so it's hard to say for sure. But he is a bird person, and the only bird people we've seen are, well, the Rito, so maybe. But this is where things get extra crazy, because he flies up high into the sky into this giant flying robotic bird fortress, which I'm assuming was that weird island we saw in the sky in the previous footage we've seen for Breath of the Wild. So this is obviously mechanical, it has propellers moving around, but not only that, it has these runes. It looks a lot like the technology we've seen for the Sheikah shrines. What's interesting is it even has like those red glowing runes that look a lot like the red coloring we've seen in the Guardians. So could that be related in some way? Perhaps. Yeah, it's huge, the giant bird. Now I think this depiction right here is very interesting, because yeah, we see Hyrule Castle and we see a slew of guardians on the front. But what's interesting to me is that if you look carefully at the castle, it almost looks like there's some sort of giant creature in front of it. In fact, it kind of reminds me of different depictions of Ganon in the past. If you look carefully, it almost looks like this creature that's standing right in front of Hyrule Castle has two giant arms that reach all the way down to the floor, and then two really thick feet in the middle. But towards the head area, it almost looks like it's wearing some sort of mask with wings that are protruding from the sides. So, I mean, the vibe I'm getting from this is that there's a castle, Hyrule Castle, presumably, and that's Ganon, and he's controlling all the Guardians, which have been attacking Link. It all makes sense, especially when you consider that the Calamity Ganon had that red wispy smoke. The Guardians have had like that red light energy, as you can see right there. So maybe it's all related. Even that flying fortress with that bird that seemed pretty antagonistic to me, to Link. He flew into a fortress that also had that glowing red energy around it in the runes. So could this all be related? Perhaps. Now here we see something really, really, really cool. It's another character that we haven't seen before, and the way the camera is set up, it does seem to be a very cinematic, important scene, but it's actually a woman, in case you can't tell, that's walking, and she has long blonde hair. She seems very important. She's probably Zelda. I'm willing to bet a lot of money on that. But what's interesting is that her clothes, while they do seem to be a bit regal, they do also seem to be geared for travel. She has a little pouch in the back. She has gloves on. She has little crazy little cool belts. So it looks like, you know, this Zelda, so we're assuming it's Zelda, it probably is Zelda, she's geared for traveling and adventure. So perhaps Zelda could be taking a more active role in the adventure this time around, rather than just seeing her at towards the beginning and end of the game. So we'll see, but very cool to finally get at least a teaser for how Zelda's going to look in this game. Now here we see Hyrule Castle, and there's smoke and red energy and lightning and fire just billowing everywhere. It's a lot of havoc. This is probably something related to Calamity Ganon. Something shot down from the sky. It could just be fire. And in here, it looks like wasteland that's near the castle that's controlled by Calamity Ganon. Everything's destroyed. Everything's very sad and desolate. If you look carefully, you can see those red flags. Those red flags look a lot like the red flags that were in the castle town in Twilight Princess. And this looks like some sort of fountain that was in the middle. So definitely looks like, you know, this is destroyed. So we get the Rito, who are in the Wind Waker timeline, the child timeline. And we have here what looks like to be an image, a scene from Twilight Princess. So it's hard to say what games is following, which that's in an adult timeline. But nevertheless, this is desolate. It looks like there was a town here, maybe Castle Town, and it's all destroyed, which is sad, but also beautiful in its own way. It's artistic. Now here we see Link, and there's particles that are coming about him. He's glowing. This is obviously another important story scene. He does not have the Master Sword, which is interesting. And now here, we cut to another scene, and it almost seems like it's obviously a different time, but I wonder at which point. Because here he has the Master Sword, and it again does not look destroyed in any way. Maybe it's a flashback or a flash forward, and Link here is kneeling down. Perhaps he's next to royalty. He does seem to be next to a castle, And there's a lady here, well, presumably a lady since there's a dress and the hand doesn't look too masculine. So, and it's in kind of like in the blue and gold coloring, but matches Link, but also reminds me a lot of the blue and gold coloring that we saw for the lady we saw early on in this trailer, which I also assume is Zelda. And here it's safe to assume is also Zelda. And she's standing at the castle. She's probably making some sort of order. And here we see her clench her fists. So it's obviously depicting tension of some sort. Something's going on. It's not the first time Zelda has been faced with adversity when she's leading a country or an army for Hyrule. So there's a lot that seems to be going on here with the story. It's all very vague. We never got to see Zelda's face. We're still not even sure if it is Zelda, but it probably is Zelda. They're teasing Zelda. So a lot of cool stuff here, guys. We saw the Rito, we saw this flying fortress, we saw NPCs, we saw villages, we saw maybe Zelda, we saw the Master Sword, and it looks like there's flashbacks. It looks like we're going to be seeing scenes from different time periods in the game. We already know that Link is a hero from 100 years in the past, so maybe, you know, there's an interplay here with time periods. Who knows? Anyways, it's all a mystery for now, but thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this trailer analysis. If I missed anything, point it out in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Let's theorize and figure out what's going on with Breath of the Wild. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be putting up more videos related to the Zelda footage we saw today at the Game Awards, so stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, and if you want to see more content from me on Just Restart, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later.